everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for our virtual Pituitary conference. This event is part of our We Are Pituitary campaign, celebrating all those involved within the pituitary community. This is one of our pre-recorded sessions, and you can find the full programme and other session information linked in the video description. You can also visit our website, pituitary.org.uk/virtual conference to find out more. We are delighted to be offering this event for free. However, if you would like to make a contribution, you can do so online, by text or over the phone. Please feel free to chat in the comments or on our social media channels, and any further questions you may have we will try to answer throughout the week or as soon after the event as we can. We are joined by our very own Pauline Whittingham this evening, who is the Endocrine Specialist Nurse here at the Foundation. Pauline runs our nurse helpline 3 days a week, so many of you may recognise her voice from the end of the phone. This evening, Pauline will be discussing hydrocortisone, sick day rules, and when to use your emergency injection. Thank you, Pauline, for this useful reminder of the key safety tips for adrenal insufficiency.
Hi everyone, my name is Pauline Whittingham. I'm the endocrine nurse for the Foundation, so I'm the face at the end of the telephone when you ring through. I'm going to run through today with you the sick day rules that we attach to your cortisol replacement, why they're needed, why they're important, how you apply the sick day rules, and how you recognise an adrenal crisis. We've also included in our presentation some direct links into videos for the cortisol injection and also some printable information for you. So that said, we'll crack on. So here we go. Okay, so under our normal circumstances, our bodies will produce cortisol when we are under a stressful situation. We need cortisol to maintain our blood sugars, our metabolism, help us to reduce inflammation and fight infection, and also has some contribution towards blood pressure control and salt and water balance. When you meet a stressful situation, you will need to have more cortisol. So stressful situations could be a fever where your temperature is more than 38 degrees. So you're developing a viral illness or a very heavy cold. Any sort of infection that needs antibiotic treatment. So if you have a chest infection or you've maybe a bad cellulitis, where you suffer significant physical injury, for instance, a broken bone or a particularly heavy fall, if you're undergoing surgery or investigations such as colonoscopy. Some dental treatments can also result in your needing extra hydrocortisone or cortisol cover, and significant traumatic events such as witness to a major accident or a bereavement can actually lead you to need more cortisol to maintain your safety. So, sick day rules, what are they? Basically, they are a set of instructions for you to follow when any of those stressful situations occur. Broadly speaking, you need to increase your cortisol replacement by doubling all of the doses that you would normally take in a day. So if your cortisol is taken once a day, you would double that. If your cortisol is taken 3 times a day, you double each one of those. And you would do that initially for a period of 48 to 72 hours. Now, during that time, if there's no improvement or the condition worsens, then you really do need to seek medical advice. It may be a virus that's working into a chest infection for which you will need antibiotics, or it may be that you're going to need significantly increased cortisol to actually help you deal with what's going on. If you are prescribed antibiotics at any point in time, then you need to double all of your doses for the course of that treatment. Then they can be 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. That's because you're getting antibiotics because you have an infection. So you're needing them to deal with that infection. If you feel an adrenal crisis is imminent, and we will move on to discussing how to recognize an adrenal crisis and what one of those is, then you really do need to use your emergency steroid injection. And after you've used that, seek medical advice to then make sure you are stabilized. Some people get worried about taking extra hydrocortisone, and certainly in the early days of being confirmed as adrenal insufficient, it's always a doubt as to whether you should increase your dose or not increase your dose, or is it the right thing to do? Is it not? Will it cause any problems? Will it cause any damage? Basically, generally speaking, in the short term, so for a day or two, extra doses of your cortisol tablets are unlikely to cause any real harm. You would need to have that level of increase present for a number of weeks to really start causing side effects and issues. But in the short term, if you need extra cortisol and you don't take it, then that may cause you significant ill health and lead to a hospital admission, maybe A&E, maybe having to be resuscitated with IV cortisol, IV fluids, etc. So it really is important. If you're thinking, should I increase my cortisol? I don't feel particularly well. And it's a weekend, say, and you can't get any advice from anyone, then those couple of days of increase won't do any real harm. And by all means, contact your medical team or somebody that you trust for medical advice once you've increased your dose and you maybe are out of the weekend into the Monday when you can get in touch with people. If you've got your cortisol increase, say for a 10-day course of antibiotics, then you may well need to taper back down to your normal dose over a few days after that event is resolved. If you've increased only for 2 or 3 days, it's not likely to be a problem for you to just go back to your normal dose. But certainly if it's been for, say, more than 2 to 3 days, then go part way back down to your normal dose for a couple of days and then back onto your normal dose just to get that taper. So, adrenal crisis. What is this? Sounds scary, and I think for those of you that maybe have had an adrenal crisis, it is scary. This is an emergency situation, and this is because your cortisol level has dropped rapidly. So you're no longer able to sustain those bodily functions that we spoke of earlier, such as maintaining blood sugar, helping to maintain blood pressure, dealing with that stress to the body. So what do we need here? We need the injection of hydrocortisone into the muscle. This helps to stabilize things whilst you seek medical help. So that will give you a few hours in which to feel strong enough to get on and get help. Now that could be by dialing an ambulance and stating adrenal crisis. It could be by contacting NHS 111 and having an assessment with one of the nurse practitioners, who may also then send an ambulance out to check you over and maybe take you through to hospital. Or it may be by contacting your GP, and they may also arrange for you to transfer to hospital. We will, as I've said before, include the video links to go into the hydrocortisone preparation and administration. There are 3 formats in the country. The F-cortisol, which is the soluble, ready to go, draw up and inject. And then there are 2 versions of the Solucortef, which is the powder and fluid. One which is called Actovile, where you press the top down and that pushes the fluid into the powder, and one where the powder and fluid are separate. So it's important to get the right one for you in terms of looking at the videos and actually practice and watch the video over and over again in how to draw this up and how to inject yourself. In the situation of adrenal crisis, you're likely to feel quite shaky, quite unsure. So having that really, really emphasized in your brain and in your head will be really useful. The initial kit for your emergency hydrocortisone injection should come from your hospital team, and they should give you the initial training on how to draw up and inject your hydrocortisone. If by any chance you need to use your hydrocortisone or it goes out of date, then your GP should give you further prescriptions for that as advised by your hospital team. It's always a good idea when you go for your training to take along a family member or a friend to ensure that they also know how to give you that injection, how to draw it up, and in what circumstances it should be given. Another good idea is to ensure that you are red flagged with your ambulance service, and you can arrange that through your endocrine team or your GP. Basically, each local ambulance service will then attach an alert to your name on their system. So it'll be your name and address. And if a call comes in to them stating your name and address, it increases the priority call on the ambulance service for you, so they get to you quicker. So how to recognize this adrenal crisis? Usually they're sudden onset as a result of illness or injury. They can occur if you've become unwell and you've not increased your normal cortisol to cover that illness or injury. The signs can be very varied, so it's always useful to be watchful of this, and also to alert your family members and your friends as to what these signs are, so that if you don't recognize them, they can. So we've got headache, an extreme weakness, an absolute overwhelming, oh, I just cannot get up. A sense of feeling awful, but you don't know why. You just feel horrible. It can be nausea and vomiting. Real tiredness, not wanting to get out of bed, very drowsy, not able to wake up. Can go into confusion, and that's where you may not recognize these signs. So important to have someone around you that can. And that can lead to a possible loss of consciousness. Blood pressure can drop, so you may notice that by being dizzy when you stand up or sit up. Also feeling cold, uncontrollable shaking, just shaking and dithering. And some patients can report back pain, abdominal pain, or limb pain. So it's a wide range of symptoms. You don't need to have all of them, but you need to be aware that that combination or any combination thereof can be an indication that you're heading in towards an adrenal crisis. And to prevent that, that's where the cortisol injection comes in. So this is the page of the links. The Addison's Disease UK have a beautiful set of videos. They support that with printable leaflets that detail in pictures each injection. So each of those formats, you can print off an injection leaflet. Now, although it's for Addison's disease, it applies to pituitary patients who are adrenal insufficient. Both groups of patients need cortisol replacement, and both groups of patients can experience adrenal crisis. So this information will still apply. The YouTube link is the link to the 3 videos within the Addison's disease website. And there's a lot of other videos on that link as well, which run through the sick day rules again, run through how to counteract, how to double up. So another useful reminder. We've then got links to our website with our publications that are free to print off, free to download, information on how to keep safe with adrenal insufficiency, just hints and tips about keeping an extra supply with you, keeping an extra supply at home, making sure when you go on holiday, you carry your cortisol as your hand luggage and don't put it in the hold in case your suitcase goes off to Florida and you go to Spain, that kind of thing. Then there's our sick day rules, which has all of this information in a table form. so that you can look along one side, what's going on, oh, I'm going to the dentist, what do I need to do? And then you can thread your way through that as to how you manage your cortisol replacement during various situations. And the last one is towards the association of anaesthetists. If anyone's ever having to go through surgery, then there will be a whole set of steps that the anaesthetist will need to take to ensure you remain safe during that surgery. In that link, there is also detail on how to manage during the latter stages of pregnancy and delivery. So really useful information there for any of you that are pregnant or hoping to be in the future. So, as I said, brief overview, just a little reminder, refresher, breaking the ice for those of you that have not heard it before. To conclude, cortisol is essential to help our body cope with stressors. So stressors are anything that comes along, illness, injury, psychological stress. Our average day-to-day stresses, so, you know, the things that get on our nerves every day, or the things that get us worried each day, generally you don't need to take extra cortisol for. But if you were in a car accident, then you may need to. But if somebody comes out of a side street and cuts you up and you get annoyed at him, probably not. Major life events such as bereavements, massive traumatic incidents, if you witness somebody fall down a hole or see an animal run over, that kind of thing. Infections, significant injury or illness are all times where you will need to take more cortisol. And that's why it's important to carry it with you, because if you're out and about and you suffer an injury, you need to take it there and then. You can protect yourself by knowing the sick day rules, get your family and friends involved and your workmates. It may be that you'll go years without ever having to use this. And that's all the more important to make sure that it's there in the back of your mind, because one day you most likely will need to use it. And if you use it appropriately at the right time, then you can often avoid that adrenal crisis. We always recommend that you wear or carry a steroid alert of some sort. That can be either by a card, piece of jewelry, you can put it on your emergency contact on your phone. There's lots of little devices that you can do that with now. But we definitely recommend that you do that, as well as getting red flagged up with your ambulance service. The next two links are actually to the new steroid card in the UK for adult patients. That's the first one. And the second one is a steroid card for children, because their sick day rules, cortisol needs do differ slightly to adults. So it's important to have those two separate in the case of emergency. So hopefully they'll be of use to you as well. That's it. That's the end of that quick run through. I hope you found it useful. I would really recommend looking at those links, getting into those injection videos for sure, watching them over and over and over again, and following the advice that's in them, that, you know, ask your nurse for, if you don't use your injection, ask your nurse for a refresher once every 12 months, just so that you've still got it there. You still got it in the back of the mind, just how it works and how it would go. I'm back on Wednesday evening, I think, with a Q&A session. So I look forward to seeing you all then.